DreAllDay.com.
Before we start, please like and comment on this video so I can get your feedback. Also, click that subscribe button so you can get all the new content I'm dropping on this channel. And the free book, the mental handbook, physical book, Work on Your Game University, just take care of the shipping and handling, send this right to your doorstep. Let's get started. What's going on, everybody? Dre Baldwin, DreAllDay.com. Today we are talking about a team that is hard to watch. A team that was kind of disappointing last year. A team that I still don't know if I want to watch these guys play. The Houston Rockets went 41-41 last year, which is not good. It was also not bad. But looking at the roster that they had, I would expect a little bit more from this team. What do you think? Now, let's talk about this team. Of course, we know that Dwight Howard is gone from Houston, and we could pretty much see that the writing on the wall for that. Dwight Howard, pretty much walked away from every team. He forced his trade from Orlando, walked from the Lakers, and now he's walked from Houston. He's somewhere else. We'll talk about him when we get to the team he's on. But let's look at the roster that they have. They did pick up, I believe Ryan Anderson is a new pickup, or maybe he was on the team last year. I don't even know. I think he might have got, I don't know. Y'all, let me look. How about that? How about I just look at the stats and find out if he was on the team last year. I think last year he was I'm believing last year he was all in New Orleans, but we're going to find out in a moment. So we're looking at the Rockets pickups. Yeah, he was in New Orleans all of last year. He played in 66 games. He was a starter in 7, but he played 30 minutes a game and averaged 17 points a game. This guy's a damn sniper from three-point land. Shot about 37% with a ton of attention on the fact that he's a great three-point shooter. So Ryan Anderson, I believe, is a great pickup for Houston. Houston is all about either get to the free throw line, get a layup or dunk, or get a three-pointer. That's pretty much how the Rockets play. They frown on the mid-range shooting, so they're pretty much like a basketball analytics person dream, and that they only shoot the most efficient shots in the game. So Ryan Anderson, a good pickup. Trevor Ariza was a great three-point shooter for that one postseason when he was with the Lakers and they won the championship. He hasn't been a great three-point shooter since, but I think he's a great overall 3-and-D guy is what they call it. Guys who can make three-pointers, they're athletic, and they can play good, solid, all over the court defense. Trevor Ariza is that guy. Michael Beasley. Now, Michael Beasley is kind of an enigma. I know Michael Beasley was a number 2 pick in the NBA draft the same year as Derrick Rose, same year as Kevin Love. I believe same year as, I think Russ Westbrook was in the same year as all those guys. And Michael Beasley has been, can we call Michael Beasley a bust? Is he a bust at being the number 2 pick in the draft? It was a point where Michael Beasley was completely out of the league. It was a point where, the fact that you had him as the number 2 pick in the league, and then the Heat were so bad as to not be able to make the playoffs even in a couple of years, a year or two that Michael Beasley was there. In fact, Beasley was coming off the bench. He couldn't even hold down a starting spot. Got banished to Minnesota, where he was not very good in Minnesota either. I think he was in Phoenix briefly. Didn't do much in Phoenix. He was out of the league. I think he played in China and averaged like 50 points a game in China. Came back to Houston and was actually a good scorer coming off the bench in Houston, Michael Beasley. But I think that's pretty much what you're going to get out of Michael Beasley. I don't think you're ever going to build a team around Mike Beasley. I don't think you put Mike Beasley as a starter on a team whom you're hoping to contend with. He's an off-the-bench guy on a team that's good with some leadership on the team. Michael Beasley can kind of stay in line and do some productive things. But other than that, I wouldn't expect too much from Michael Beasley overall. But y'all tell me if I have that wrong about Michael Beasley. Now, that one I think I got pretty much correct. Patrick Beverley, we know he's a scrappy guy, play hard guy. I love watching him go up against the top point guards in the NBA because he always goes at them hard, and he likes to, I think he tries to get under people's skin. Him against Stephen Curry is a great matchup. I want to see Pat Beverley against Stephen Curry like all day, every day of the week, twice on Sunday. I'll watch Pat Beverley and Steph Curry play one-on-one. I might even pay money to watch that live streamed on the internet. Pat Beverley against Steph Curry. Other than that, let's see who else we got. Corey Brewer, another 3-and-D guy, similar to Trevor Ariza, pretty much the same type of player. Clint Capella, young guy, only 22 years old, athletic. He's a guy who earned himself some playing time last year, playing with Dwight Howard or in Dwight Howard's place. Clint Capella I think he has a future, at least this year, in Houston. Sam Decker, guy, still a young guy, coming out of Wisconsin. Maybe he'll get a chance to show his game. He needs to be able to hit them threes and play D, just like all the rest of these guys. Eric Gordon, coming from New Orleans. There was a time when Eric Gordon was like one of the most coveted players in the league. I don't know if any of you even remember that time, but there was a time when he was one of those guys. I don't know what's happened with him. I know he had a little bit of injuries, but I don't think he had anything catastrophic. So what exactly happened to Eric Gordon since he was at that height? I don't know. Any of you who've been following Eric Gordon and know something that I don't know, let me know what that is. James Harden, we'll come back to him in a minute. Nene, I was just talking about him in a Wizards video. He's signed with the Houston Rockets. How much different is Nene from Dwight Howard? This is what I'm trying to figure out. I mean, we know that they have different skill sets, obviously, and Nene can hit the jump shot that Dwight Howard doesn't really have. But overall, is Nene going to be happy playing with a guy like James Harden? And we're going to talk about James Harden in a minute. That's a rhetorical question that I want to put out there. Is Nene going to be happy playing with James Harden? Because Nene, I mean, he ain't an all-star, but the guy does want the ball. He does want to get some touches down there. How will he feel playing with James Harden compared to how Dwight Howard felt playing with a guy like James Harden? KJ McDaniels is a super athletic dude. I remember some of the plays he made that year he was in Philadelphia. Then the Sixers, I think, either let him go or they traded him because they figured they wouldn't be able to pay him. This was Sam Hinkie was running the process, quote unquote. Sixers should have held on to KJ McDaniels. Donatas Matajunas, 7 feet tall, power forward. Guy can space the floor. Guy can play. Now, is he going to play well with James Harden? I think he can. Looking at the rest of this team, Pablo Prigioni. We know about Josh Smith. We know about Josh Smith. I mean, he's Josh Smith. Looking at this roster, let's look at the rest of the team. We looked at everybody. Let's look at one guy that we need to talk about, James Harden. James Harden is going to make $26 million this year. I think he renegotiated his deal. He's 27 years old, 6'5" shooting guard. He is one of the top 10 in terms of just game, at least when it comes to offense. When it comes to offense, James Harden might be top 5 in all of the world in playing basketball. The guy can handle the ball. He can cross you over. He can draw a foul on you. He can dunk on you. He can hit threes on you. He can pretty much score on anybody. There's no one who can stop James Harden from putting the ball in the basket. The problem is, who likes playing with James Harden? Would you enjoy playing with James Harden? That's the question. I'm going to tell you why I'm asking this question, but I want you to think about that. Would you enjoy playing with James Harden as on your team? Because if James Harden's on your team, he's going to be dominating the ball. He's going to want the ball out. He's going to shoot the ball out. And he's pretty much the James Harden show. Now, it's not like he doesn't pass. He does pass, but when he passes is when he doesn't have a better option of getting his own shot. Or when he's passing to you, it's because he expects you to catch the ball and take a shot, which will get him the assist. And I don't think that's the way he's thinking, but it's just the way he plays. I'm not saying he's thinking I'm only going to pass to get an assist, but I think just the way he plays is that everybody get out the way, space the floor, let me do my thing, my one-on-one thing, my ball handling. I'll shoot my step back 3, or I'm going to drive to the hole, try to get a foul, get an N1, do my thing and do the little move to draw the foul. It works. It works for James Harden. This works for him. So I'm not saying that this doesn't work. This is a successful, he has come up with a successful way to play basketball. It is not fun to watch. I personally don't think it would be fun to play on the team with James Harden because it seems like I said, it's like the James Harden show, watching James Harden play basketball. I would only be happy playing with James Harden if I'm a guy like Pat Beverly. I'm a 3 and D guy. I don't care if I don't get the ball too much. I can be the point guard. I'll just dribble the ball up to half court and pass to James Harden. Then I'll go find some place to spot up. And if he passes to me, I'll shoot my 3-pointer and I'll make it. And I'm just concerned with playing D so I can harass somebody like Stephen Curry into a bad game. If I'm Pat Beverly, I can play with James Harden. But if I'm a guy like, even if someone like Dwight Howard needs a damn ball. Dwight Howard can get you 20 points a game just because he's the most athletic, probably the most athletic big man in the league, or at least he has been in years past. He can still catch the alley-oop. He got a post move or two. There was a year he had good post moves. Remember when he went to Houston and he was working out with Olajuwon? This is back when Dwight was still playing in Orlando. He worked out with Olajuwon in the offseason. The video was on YouTube. And the next year he was actually doing good post moves and actually doing like nice moves and scoring in the paint. But what happened to those moves? Did he forget the moves? What happened? What happened to Dwight Howard? We'll talk about Dwight when we get to the Atlanta Hawks. But as far as who we talking about now is James Harden. Personally, I don't think it'd be fun to play with James Harden. If you're a person who expects to have an opportunity to get the ball and do something with the ball and score points, it wouldn't be fun to play with James Harden because he dominates the entire show. And which is why somebody like Dwight Howard, who has been an all-star, knows what it feels like to have an offense run through him. Doesn't mean he was expected to run through him, but I think he expected to at least get some touches. He wasn't getting enough touches because it was the James Harden show in Houston last year. And here's the thing. I don't think it's all on a guy like Dwight Howard that they weren't successful, or it's all on him that he was unhappy with the way things were run, because guess what? James Harden was on the team last year. Let's see what James Harden did. James Harden played all 82 games last year. He played 38 minutes a game last year, shot 44% from the floor, 36% from three. He got to the line 10 times a game. He averaged 29 points a game. 6 rebounds, 7.5 assists, 1.5 steals. I mean, the guy can play. He did great things. But if you're the man playing 38 minutes a game and you're getting all these great stats and your team goes 41-41, then it's on you. It's on you as the superstar. James Harden is the star of the team. He was the star before Dwight. He was the star while Dwight was there, and he's the star after Dwight. So this is on James. This is not on Dwight. This is on James Harden. And the problem is, I'm not sure any good player, I'm talking about all-star level player, I'm not sure any all-star wants to play on the team with James Harden. Now, any of you know of an all-star who you think will want to play on the team with James Harden, you tell me who and where they are now and how that could actually happen. But I don't think there is one. I think the way that Houston has run their show the last few years, James Harden's been there 4 years. The minutes have been the same, 38 minutes a game all the time he's been there. His shot attempts have just gone up every year. His shooting percentage has actually gone down over the last couple of years. He's shooting more threes. He shot 8 threes a game last year, which is a little bit high. He gets to the foul line just as well as any damn body and shoots a very high percentage, 86%. He's going to get you six rebounds a game, 7.5 assists. I mean, the stats are excellent. If you just look at the stats, you're like, this guy's a superstar. He's one of the best players in the world, if you look at the stats. But his team is 41-41 because I don't think people are excited to be on the team with this dude. He pretty much just dominates the ball. Mike D'Antoni is the coach now. And I think that's a great pickup, Mike D'Antoni, because when Mike D'Antoni was coaching the New York Knicks and they got a chance to do the insanity thing, the Knicks were actually good. When Mike D'Antoni was coaching Phoenix, when they did the 7 seconds or less with Steve Nash, a young Joe Johnson, Sean Marion, a peak Amari Stoudemire, man, that was a fun-ass team to watch. Houston Rockets are the least fun team to watch from last season. So mixing that roster that they had last year, get Mike D'Antoni in there, I think the offense is still going to run through James Harden, but maybe he'll get James Harden to kind of get the damn ball up a little bit more, make it more unselfish basketball. More unselfish basketball. And that's not me saying James Harden is selfish, but the overall style of play has to be more unselfish amongst everybody. Because if people are on your team, they don't think you're going to pass the ball, they don't have the same type of energy on offense, on defense, anywhere. There's a certain type of player who's okay with not touching the ball and just playing D and harassing the other team, like a Pat Beverly, like some garbage man type of guy who just doesn't care how often he gets the ball. But it ain't too many of those guys. Even the guys who average 9-10 points a game want to get the ball to get those 9-10 points a game. They still feel like they want to get the ball every now and then. Nobody likes playing with a player who, if you think the guy is selfish and you think he's not going to pass, you're not as excited to play with him. And I think that's the issue with the Houston Rockets. I don't think people like playing with this guy who's the best player on this team, and that's a problem. So what are they going to do this upcoming season to make that work? I really don't know. What's Mike D'Antoni going to do? I think something positive. Now, they won 41 games last year. They replaced Dwight Howard with Nene Hilario. They picked up Eric Gordon, who I'm not that excited about. Ryan Anderson, who is a pretty good player, but he's kind of they duplicate themselves. So they got the players that they have here. They got Ryan Anderson, Trevor Ariza, Corey Brewer, Eric Gordon, Sam Decker. In my opinion, these guys are all the same kind of player. They can hit the three-pointer. They're going to play some defense. They're athletic guys, but I mean, where's this team going? Where are you going with this roster? With James Harden as your best player, you can get to the Western Conference semifinals. I believe that you can. You can get to the Western Conference. They got to the finals that year when the Clippers choked, but they had Dwight Howard on the team at the time, and I think that mattered that they had Dwight Howard on the team. But looking at this roster, this is maybe they make it in the first round, they lose in the first round. Isn't that what happened to them last year? Don't even know. It don't even matter. Is it even important what they did in the playoffs last year? They didn't do much. I say this team maybe makes the playoffs. If Mike D'Antoni can figure out how to get James Harden to share the damn ball, they make the playoffs. They will lose in the first round. They will not be, I don't think they'll be too competitive of a team. I think a guy like Pat Beverly is important just because there's so many electric point guards in the West. You're looking at a Tony Parker, you got a Chris Paul, you got a Damian Lillard, you got a Stephen Curry, you got a whoever else that I'm not even thinking of right now. A lot of teams, those point guards run the show. So a guy like Pat Beverly who likes to harass and get in the face of the opposing point guard is important. That's an important thing. And he don't care about how much he gets the ball. Also very important when you're playing with James Harden. How many players you have on that team who don't care how often they get it? Mike D'Antoni, that's how it worked. Look at the Phoenix teams. Guys didn't care how often they got the ball, but they knew they were getting it. And Steve Nash ain't James Harden. Steve Nash is going to get 15 assists. And when I shoot, it's going to be efficient shooting. That's Steve Nash. James Harden ain't no Steve Nash. James Harden is this is like the new breed of ball-dominant guys. Put on a show, get your highlights that can go on Instagram, do your little hand gestures every time you make a shot. I get it, but I wouldn't want to play on this guy's team. How about you? How about the rest of the Houston Rockets is the most important question. Y'all tell me. So that's what I think about the Rockets this year. I'm not excited about this team. We'll see what they do once the season starts. If you ask me right now how many Houston Rockets games would I want to watch this year, the answer would be 0, because this team's just not. It's not fun to watch somebody like James Harden go one-on-one all game. Even though we think it sounds fun to be able to go one-on-one and do your thing. In a video game is fun, but watching it in real life is not. So that's it for the Houston Rockets. I don't see them doing much. Let's take a look at the next team we're going to talk about, which will be the Chicago Bulls, who have made several changes since last year. So it's a completely different team. But anyway, Houston Rockets fans, Houston Rockets critics, Houston Rockets haters, basketball fans in general, let me know what you think about my Houston Rockets prognosis. If any questions that I put out there, that even if I answer them or if I didn't answer them, I want to know what you think. Leave it down here in the comments. Tomorrow, next team we'll talk about, the Chicago Bulls. Everybody work on your game. DreAllDay.com.